He saw no need to dig up the past of people who were clearly on a path to reform. "Evening, Constable," a pudgy man said with the tip of his round hat as Covrain came out of the alley. Simple man in a simple suit, probably working an honest job at the docks or a counting house. "Good to see you about." "Good evening to you, sir," Covrain said with a nod. Respect for these people, for this neighbourhood. Covrain would bring it, even if he had to do it all on his own. Hal Ellman was pleased to see a constable strolling the street as he made his way from the office. First to the bakery to fetch his wife, and then home, and hopefully another quiet evening of the two of them. Quiet evenings were, it seemed, starting to be the norm again, which Hal deeply appreciated. After the fire had uprooted Leanne's sister's family, followed by weeks of madness and danger, things had settled. Maybe soon Leanne would be willing to walk home from the bakery on her own again. Not that he minded. It was a pleasant nightly ritual of fetching her and walking home, but he didn't like that she was always so frightened. Despite that, she had insisted on continuing to work in the bakery with her sister, Rachel. He was proud of her for that. But the bakery itself made him nervous, possibly because Rachel's husband had inherited the place under mysterious circumstances, which Hal had never fully understood or believed. And to be honest, Verci Rynax smelled of trouble, and his brother Asti, even more so. Disreputable, to say the least. "Not because they're Kieran," Hal said to himself. There were plenty of fine folks who were Kieran. Some very respectable businessmen. Hal was not like his boss, Mr. Bradford, who would spit and mutter stinking greasy piries all the time. But he understood why some of them, like that Asti Rynax fellow, made people nervous. There were plenty of people who made Hal nervous, of course. The new folks who moved into that magic circle house on the corner of Ullen and Holver Alley, for example. One of them was walking by right now, a striking woman with sharp, drawn features, standing out even more because she wore trousers, waistcoat and thin-brimmed hat of burning yellow and orange. Hal had seen her and a couple of the others on a few occasions on his way home from work, but he had never found the courage to even say hello. They were neighbours after all, but mages. That was a bit frightful. He didn't know anything about magic. He had never met a mage in his life. In his university years, there was the one chap who lived on his dormitory floor who was supposedly a magic student, but he turned out to be a chemist or something, who later was kicked out. Still, Hal couldn't help turning his head to watch her as she passed by. Something mysterious and poised and even regal about the woman, really. "Watch it." He had ploughed into some kid on the walkway. "I'm so sorry, young man," Hal said. "I wasn't—" "Yeah, I know what you weren't," the kid said. "Stop being such an oaf." He darted off. Hal shook his head. He needed to be more careful, especially on these streets. Half the people here would rob you as much as look at you. Suddenly realizing, Hal checked his coat pocket. His coin purse was gone. Again, and that kid was well out of sight. He sighed. 4th time in as many months. He needed to wise up and stop letting that happen if he and Leanne were ever going to save up enough to get out of this neighbourhood. He had a feeling they needed to do that soon. The fat man in his stupid hat was always an easy mark. Enoch had stolen his coin purse at least 4 times in as many months, and the fool was never any wiser. Enoch almost felt bad for him. But that guy clearly had enough to eat. He dashed down the alley, went around the back of the tenement, and climbed the iron back ladder to the crash flop. "Enoch decided to show up," Mr. Pence said. He was, as usual, half drunk on turned wine and walking around in his skivs. Peaky and Telly were sitting on the floor, the part of the flop where the wood wasn't so rotten you'd fall through, counting coins. "Yeah, I've been running about getting things done," Enoch said. He didn't like Kobe Pent, but for some reason, Peaky and Telly latched onto him. Sure, he had escaped from Quarrygate and, when he was clear-headed, told them some pretty smart things. Not that there was much of anywhere else to go. Bessie's boys were no more. Jeed was dead. Tarvis was in the air. Connor was in with the Scratch Cats and Lesk's crew. Peaky and Telly were all Enoch had left. They needed a place to crash, and this flop with Mr. Pent was as good as any.